Hello everyone, this is Davinator12 here, and welcome to the fourth ever JoJo's Bizarre Adventure discussion. This discussion, we will be talking about our second favorite mangaka after Araki Sensei, our very own Kishibe Rohan. And I guess the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Multiverse too, I guess. Whatever. This discussion is a continuation of the last video where we talked about the timeline theory. If you have not watched that last video, I would highly recommend it since I will be going back to the information I talked about in that video. Now let us begin. Last episode, we discussed how Rohan Kishibe is the connection between the continuities along with his dog, Bakin. We concluded that the Steel Ball Run universe was the main universe due to the appearance of the Holy Corpse and Bakin. We also concluded that Bakin Rohan has also appeared in the spin-off manga Thus Spoke Kishibe Rohan, like stories Hot Summer Martha, Rohan at the Louvre, and Drip Painting Style. From that information, we can assume that the other Rohans in the spin-off are either Made in Heaven Rohan or other versions of Rohan in the multiverse. To start off this discussion, I would like to go over some differences between Bakin Rohan and Made in Heaven Rohan. If you are wondering, yes, Made in Heaven Rohan is actually Part 4 Rohan, and I am calling him that since it'll be easier later. I will explain later. The biggest difference between Bakin Rohan and Made in Heaven Rohan are the differences in their stance, Heaven's Door. I have recently noticed in Araki's art that when drawing Heaven's Door for Bakin Rohan, he usually draws the stand with mechanical eyes, or those lines that go through the eyes, as well as Rohan being able to use Heaven's Door on himself. And it's even implied that he has been a natural-born stand user. For Made in Heaven Rohan, we can see the difference in the eyes, because Made in Heaven Rohan, Heaven's Door, his eyes are more human-like. We know that he attained Heaven's Door from the arrow, as well as not being able to use Heaven's Door on himself. And we even see in part 6 that Rohan is so fast he can keep up with Made in Heaven. Having at least 2 different Rohans in the spin-off without anyone knowing is such a genius move from Araki, since he was able to write more about the character while being continually correct about the lore, even if we did not know at the time. I guess we can talk about the multiverse. I don't know if I want to though, but I guess I have to. When I talked about Rohan and Bakim, or the link/key between both continuities, I kinda lied. Please forgive me. Not only were they the link between both timelines, but also the whole universe. Or should I say, the whole multiverse. I have made a graph of all known bubbles in the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure multiverse. Now you're asking yourself, Davinator12, what the heck is a bubble of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure multiverse? Good question. Let me show you. Here is the current JoJo's Bizarre Adventure multiverse as we know it. Those circles are boundary bubbles, not universes. Remember how last video, how we discussed that Made in Heaven restarted the entirety of the Phantom Blood universe and possibly nearby dimensions? That means both the Phantom Blood universe and Steel Ball Run universe are far enough that they can be considered self-contained. But if you think about it, both reside in the boundaries of what I'm calling the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure manga bubble, the OG. The lines in the bubbles are supposed to represent how many known universes we know of going through their timeline. In this video, I will talk about how Rohan tells us how each boundary bubbles connect. We must first talk about the most important thing in the franchise. Bakin. God, I love Bakin. Let us take a trip to the live-action boundary bubble where one special show exists. Thus Spoke Kishibe Rohan 2020. Now, for those who have not watched this show, please go watch it since I will be talking about it extensively. Last warning, spoiler warning. I know everyone hates spoilers, and if you're one of those people that are watching this and not caring about spoilers, I don't like you. Anyway, when you see my graph, you see a solid and dotted line connecting each boundary bubble, or none. The solid line represents a clear connection between two boundary bubbles, while the dotted lines represent filtered influence between two boundary bubbles. I will explain later. This information will be important later. The thing about the live action boundary bubble is that we know of one universe, not two, like in the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure manga bubble. That is because this universe has had both universes merge into one, creating a different timeline. We can see this in the Thus Spoke Kishibe Rohan live action show. When first watching the show, there's a big point in this version of Rohan Kishibe, being that he only has one pen earring, not two. Now, why is this important? It is important because it is the first time ever we have seen a Rohan with only one earring. He has it in the Steel Ball Run universe and the Phantom Blood universe, and we can assume every other universe, but not this one. However, since the earrings are so iconic to Rohan, and he only has one, it tells me two things. One, this Rohan is a special Rohan. And two, this Rohan lives in a unique universe with a different timeline. We know this Rohan is still the same Rohan because he still does the same stretch exercises, he still says his iconic lines like Dara Kotoaru, or the line about money and fame. He still signs for his fans, and he still rips paper off the Facebooks. He also buys a mountain and goes bankrupt too, and other things during the show. However, the biggest difference in this live action Rohan is that he has no visible stand, or stand that we see. We also see that the stories have been changed or altered to fit the timeline. In the show, there's a connection between the story Mutsukabe Hill and The Run, even though they had no connection before. Even Rohan's story arcs from Part 4 have been included in the live action, like the Rock, Paper, Scissors Kid and the Cheap Trick arc. They even change certain aspects of the stories, like Mutsukabe Hill, Millionaire Village, and The Crossing are all kind of implied to be blessings from the earth, which I found interesting. In the show, there are also concepts like fate, curses, positive/negative flow, gravity, all stuff we have seen before, but that just cements it as a JoJo universe. The most important thing about this section is that around the third season, the most important thing happened. Bakin came into the picture. And that's when I understood. I understood everything. The live action bubble was affected by one man, Rohan. Again, let me explain. In the live action boundary bubble, both Bakin Rohan and Made in Heaven Rohan were combined, creating a combined universe of both the Phantom Blood and Steel Ball Run universes, creating a new universe with a new timeline. The merging of the two Rohans not only changed the timeline, but other points in time, such as the Part 4 live action movie. At the end of that movie, we see Sheer heart attack way earlier in the story than we would usually see it, which means Yoshikage Kira is already hunting Josuke Okuyasu, or you can say other stand users. We can also guess that Rohan never met Josuke because he never got an evolution of his stand, which could also explain why Heaven's Door did not work on Cheap Trick due to much difference of power like it did in the anime or manga. We also know that the show takes place around 2020 because of Hot Summer Martha, placing it after the events of Part 4, the movie. Meaning the Morio Warriors won or even lost against Kira without meeting Rohan in this live action universe. The Phantom Blood musical can also fit in this universe because it is also live action. It's that easy. Even if there are changes, it could be considered a butterfly effect of the merging of Rohans, like the Part 4 movie. We know that it is the fusion of specifically Phantom Blood and Steel Ball Run Universe Rohan because the Rock Paper Scissors Kid had a connection to Hot Summer Martha, which we know is a Steel Ball Run Universe Rohan because of Bakin. Plus, it's also implied that Rohan is a natural born stand user. So, the Rock Paper Scissors Kid from Phantom Blood and the information from the Steel Ball Run universe makes it the combination of the two Rohans. The live action Rohan is the ultimate Rohan because he is a fusion of both Rohans. That's why he only has one pen earring, because he knows he's better than himself in every way. The example of the live action boundary bubble shows us how each boundary relates to each other. I will quickly explain what connects with what. Live action takes material from the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure manga. Both JoJo's Bizarre Adventure manga and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure anime show the Holy Corpse. The JoJo's Bizarre Adventure manga also gives material to the non-canon spin-offs and the video games. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure anime gives material to the video games while receives material from Bao, those Easter eggs. Video games connect with the non-canon spin-offs because of one Cars dialogue in All-Star Battle R against himself. Video games connect with Bao because Bao actually appears in All-Star Battle and All-Star Battle R. Video games connect with the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure anime OVAs due to the Tinker shown in Eyes of Heaven. I hope you enjoyed the video about Rohan Kishibe and the multiverse. God, I love Joaquin.